work. And there were different levels to this. I also did a course with Dr. Paul Yannick, and he has a course called Quorum Nutrition. And this is also done on a quantum level. So there is the need, I feel, to allow the body to be nourished from nutrition that is raw, that is fermented, and that is from the perspective that Dr. Yannick talks about. And this is very, very interesting. Also, the toxicity that we have in our world right now makes it very difficult for the body to deal with, and allowing the body, giving the nutrients to the body to do what it needs to do, and changing our mindset from, the most important thing actually in our bodies is the microbiome. And the microbiome is the bacteria in our bodies that do a lot of work for us. Our bodies are 90% microbial cells and 10% human cells. And so if you look at it from this perspective, all the things that we have been doing up to now have really been not in symbiosis, not in sync with nature. But we are nature. So we have kind of been going against ourselves. And by nourishing the bacteria in our body, that is, there's a lot of research, scientific research, that shows that bacteria in our body, the good bacteria in our guts especially, they play an important role in immune function, detoxification. They actually produce nutrients as well, which our body needs. And in a study which I found very interesting, there was two groups of rats. One was the control and the other one was the experimental. In the control, they had the normal gut flora in the gut intact. In the experimental, they removed all the gut bacteria. And they found that those in the control group, they ate less, and they put on less weight. And also that the bacteria produce carbohydrates to feed themselves, but also helping the organism, which is us, to feed the human. So, or the rat in that case. But it's very similar in our bodies. And I thought that was very interesting. And, getting the physical in a way and in a place that it can function well also helps to bring all the other things into an integrated state. When you complement that with the quantum healing hypnosis, and you can ask the questions: how much do I need to take of this? Is this working for my body? What type of diet do I need? And then asking for the healing. The healing that has been found by Dolores herself has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. For example, on the course that I was on, there was a lady who was very ill. She went to see Dolores, and she had a number of ailments, and she was on the course and she was walking around without a stick. And she came in front of the class and she said, I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for the quantum healing hypnosis. I tried everything. But it didn't help me. It helped me a little bit, but it never really resolved and went down enough into the issues and into what I really needed. And she is testament. She's alive today. They gave her only a few months to live, and she is alive today because of Dolores' technique and how she approached that. I have a different way of also implementing the quorum nutrition or the quantum nutrition along with that to help the body, especially with these toxic times, because they certainly are toxic times. And it's, a product that I love the philosophy and I love the product because it's just been something that has helped me personally and my family a lot. So I always try things out before I give them to other people, or I even say to them, this is good for you, or recommend them to them.
Yeah, and it's nice that you are, it sounds like you're taking a more realistic approach as opposed to saying you go into this quantum field and you heal and then go back out and eat your Twinkies if you want to, That
you see, that's where I think it's an education. there is so much information with the quantum nutrition that is so valuable. Understanding that we need to look after this temple, which is our body, and, doing the same thing that we've done before that has contributed to bringing us to where we are today. And if it's not where we want to be, we need to change that. And we need to change the way we view the body and how we treat the body, in the sense of treating it ourselves from our health perspective, how we feed it from a physical, emotional, spiritual way. It's very important, and how we interact personally with the bacteria, which is us, actually. They're so important to our well-being. I can't stress that enough. And when I've done some gut ecology research, it astounded me that, we didn't know this before. Like, why was this information sitting? Why didn't we see this before? And how, the gut is the second brain. They say that, but I actually think it might be the first brain. A lot of things that we speak about, metaphorically, I have a gut feeling, I have butterflies in my stomach, and, serotonin, which is the happy chemical, is made, 95% of it is made in the gut. So I have a different approach, because I really enjoy health, and I'm an avid health researcher. So from that perspective, this was very telling for me. And like you say, I take an eclectic approach. I come to it from different angles to give the best possibility for the person to choose what they want to do and to use everything that can help them through their journey.
And I just want to clarify something. Did you really say, or was it just me, that we're 90% bacteria?
Yes, we are 90% bacterial cells. Microbial cells in the body are 90% of who we are. So in actual fact, we've been focusing on the human cells when I believe we should be focusing on the microbial cells and understanding them. We only know not more than 1% of microbial cells on this planet. And if we look, I think this is a really good point to make right here. Remember we were talking about the microcosm and the macrocosm? Uh-huh. Look at the earth. The earth is sick, and we haven't been very diligent in our duties at looking after this wonderful planet, because it is really beautiful. And if we look at the soil of the earth, it's depleted. And it has been for a long time. We've been using chemicals and toxic elements that perhaps, not knowing what the after effects of using those would be. And we have depleted the soil of minerals. But most importantly, we've depleted it of the microbes. The microbes that are there now are not what we had maybe 100 years ago. And this is why the soil is depleted. They're not able to do the work and the function that they should do. And not only that, we have done that to our bodies too. When we use anti-infectives and all this sort of thing, they really do affect the microbial colony in the body, especially the gut. So we become vulnerable. And other things are able to, to increase, as opposed to the good bacteria that really looks after us at the end of the day. So if we look at it from a macrocosm, we are a reflection, a hologram of the earth. It is the macrocosm of us, the microcosm. And again, if we look at it like that, it's very interesting. I find that metaphor and seeing it that way very interesting, that the earth is us and we're the earth. And if we look how sick she is, then it's a reflection of how sick our society is too. There are a lot of people who have a lot of health problems.
Yeah, exactly. And the way that we take care of ourselves is a reflection of how we take care of the earth as well. And it's sort of a cycle. And how do you reverse it?
It
is the big question. But that's fascinating stuff. Where can people go to learn more about the microbial stuff? Do you have any good references for that?
There is a lot. I actually think that going to ScienceDaily.com is quite interesting. Okay. They summarize scientific articles that perhaps, the language that's used often is because they do a lot of genetic kind of studies and that sort of thing. And some of the language used can be off-putting, but it shouldn't be. And ScienceDaily.com does a good job of condensing things and giving you the main points. I part of my reconnection group, I'm going to have a gut ecology as seminar. So, if people in the San Diego area would like to, they can contact me and we can get together and do that. And, I'll keep it basic enough for them to understand and make it easy to digest, because, when something is new, it takes time to get used to the information and digest it.
Okay. Now we're right down the last minute or two of our time, and I've saved my toughest question for last. Are you ready?
I'm ready for it.
Okay. Is the quantum? We've got quantum hypnosis, we've got quantum jumping, we've got quantum this, we've got quantum that. Just like today in marketing, everything's going green. We've got green carpet cleaning, we've got green auto, we got a green auto mechanic, we got a green everything here in our town. Is the quantum thing, is it just another play, a repackaging of the same old stuff? Or do you have something that really does represent a new, a breakthrough or a new way of approaching something?
I'm glad you brought that up. And if we look in history, as you say, there have been trends, even in history, in terms of the way humanity has thought about things, the theories they've come up with, the perspectives. And of course, the environment that you're in, the support system you have, the scientific limitations. For example, it's difficult to quantify psychic phenomenon. It's difficult to quantify people who can see auras. Do they really see them? Don't they see them? Because we don't have the technological equipment right now at this time to see it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that we're at our point at a point in our evolution that allows us to do so much. So coming back to the quantum, this is a good point. And I think that, quantum biology, which is very, very interesting. If you start looking at cells from a quantum level, it really opens up to a different way of viewing it. Quantum hypnosis, quantum mechanics and physics in general, I think it's been there for a while. It's growing. And the more that we go in a direction that is able to study this, in other words, we're going to be coming up with, and you'll see this in science because it's happening as we speak. It's wonderful. Recently, the experimental and the studies that have come out and using quantum has just been leaping, as you say. But I think that this is another point in the evolution of humanity. And with any point in evolution, you're going to have certain things that are going to be going towards the truth and other things that will fall by the wayside, as they've always done in the past. Mm-hmm. And so the whole quantum theory, I think, within itself is a theory that will last. Different facets of it will change as we change the way that we see things, the way that we test things, the technology we come up with. And that, I think, is the beauty of being human and evolving, because I would not like to see a place where we're static and we're not moving forward. Because if we do that, even within ourselves, you know what happens. People get depressed, and they don't know what they're here for. They don't have anything to live for and all this sort of thing. So I think from that perspective, as a theory, it will go forward. And as I said, the different facets will change as we begin to be able to test things differently and to see things differently. Does that answer your question?
It does answer the question in terms of there's so much that has to do with quantum these days. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Anyways, thanks so much for your time. Really, it's been an interesting conversation and a great show. So I appreciate you joining us on Natural News Radio, Chiara.
Thanks so much for having me. It was such a pleasure, and I really enjoyed it too.
Mental Health Exposed is sponsored by the INLP Center. Visit INLPcenter.com to get your free 30-minute life coaching strategy session with Mike Bundren. INLPcenter.com.